Listen closely, because if you feel like life has been ignoring your best efforts, if you've been doing all the right things and still wondering why reality hasn't caught up yet, then this is for you. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that your life is not stuck, not cursed, not delayed, not broken. Imagine instead that your life is responding with perfect obedience to something you've been broadcasting non-stop without realizing it. And yes, I know, that sounds mystical, maybe even suspicious. But stay with me, because this one idea has a way of turning confusion into clarity and struggle into power. Now let me say this gently, because I've been where you are. You want change. You're praying, affirming, visualizing, watching videos like this, and yet your bank account still looks offended. Your relationships feel like reruns of the same old drama, and your goals feel just close enough to tease you, but not close enough to touch. You start wondering, am I doing this wrong? Is something wrong with me? And then, to make matters worse, you see someone else succeed with what looks like half the effort, and suddenly you're smiling on the outside and negotiating with jealousy on the inside. So let me relieve you of a burden right now. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not being punished. You are simply operating on a frequency that faithfully recreates what you already know instead of what you desire. And the beautiful, almost scandalous truth is this: the moment you change the frequency, reality must rearrange itself. It has no choice. Most people believe life happens to them. I learned long ago that life happens through you. That's not poetry. That's law. And the reason so many people struggle is because they are trying to change conditions without changing the cause. They want a new effect, but they keep sending the same signal. That's like dialing the same number every day and being shocked when the same person answers. Your frequency is not just what you think when things are going well. It's what you assume when no one is watching. It's the quiet agreement you've made with life about what's possible for you. It's the emotional atmosphere you live in. And here's where people get tripped up. They think frequency is about being positive all the time. No, my dear. It's about being aligned. Even humorless optimism without belief is just noise. Let me explain it in a way that won't make your eyes glaze over. Everything in creation moves by law and order. The seed does not argue with the soil. It does not panic because it cannot see the roots forming. It simply accepts its nature and obeys it. And in the same way, your words, your expectations, and your inner conversations are seeds. Not someday seeds, immediate seeds. They are always planting. Now here's the part that makes people uncomfortable. So I'll say it with a smile. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. That's why affirmations sometimes feel like you're lying to yourself. You're trying to speak a new reality while emotionally agreeing with the old one. And reality listens to the agreement, not the performance. Think of frequency like a radio station. You can shout at the radio all day, demanding your favorite song. But if you don't change the station, you'll keep getting static or someone else's music. And then people say, this manifestation thing doesn't work. No, dear heart, the radio works perfectly. It's just very honest. Now, I want to talk to you about the real challenge, because it's not money, or love, or success. The core challenge is that most people are loyal to their old identity while trying to step into a new life. They want abundance, but they're still emotionally attached to struggle because it feels familiar. They want joy, but they secretly believe peace is boring or unsafe. And so they keep recreating what they know, not what they say they want. This matters because your life cannot rise higher than your self-concept. You will always sabotage blessings that feel foreign to your identity. That's why some people get an opportunity and ruin it. It's not because they're unworthy. It's because their frequency hasn't been trained to hold it yet. Now, before you panic, let me give you the good news. Frequency is trainable. You are not stuck with the one you have. And you don't need to move to a mountain, quit your job, or pretend you're happy when you're not. You simply need to practice a new inner law. Here is the framework, and I want you to listen slowly. Your reality is shaped by 3 things working together: your word, your image, and your feeling. Most people use these against themselves without realizing it. Your word is what you speak and think consistently. Not what you say once during a good mood, but what you repeat when life presses you. Your image is what you see yourself as being. The inner movie you play when you imagine your future. And your feeling is the emotional certainty behind it all. Feeling is the power source. Words are the steering wheel. Images are the map. When all three agree, reality moves fast. When they argue, reality stalls. Now let me be playful for a moment. Have you noticed how easily you can imagine the worst-case scenario? You don't need a vision board for that. Your mind goes there like it's on payroll. That's because you've practiced it. You've rehearsed it. You've trained your frequency to expect disappointment, delays, or loss. And then people say, I have bad luck. No, you have excellent consistency. But consistency can be redirected. The first step in building a powerful frequency is what I call divine neutrality. This is where you stop emotionally wrestling with appearances. You stop reacting like every inconvenience is a personal attack from the universe. You say, this may look like something, but I do not accept it as final. That one decision alone begins to loosen the grip of old patterns. Then comes your word. And this is where humor helps, because some of the things we say daily would be hilarious if they weren't so effective at blocking good. I always struggle. Nothing ever works out for me. People like me don't get ahead. Imagine planting a seed and yelling at it every day, don't grow, and then being shocked when nothing blooms. Your words are spells. Yes, I said spells. You don't need a wand. You have a mouth. And the universe takes dictation very seriously. Now don't run off trying to police every sentence. That will make you tired and slightly dramatic. Instead, choose one phrase that represents the life you are stepping into and use it gently but consistently. Something like, everything is always working in my favor. Or, I am under divine protection and perfect timing. Say it when things go right. Say it when they don't. Say it especially when your mind wants to argue. This is not about lying. It's about choosing a higher law over a lower appearance. Next is your image. Close your eyes sometime today and notice what you see when you imagine yourself successful, peaceful, loved, or abundant. If the image feels fuzzy, uncomfortable, or short-lived, that's not failure. That's feedback. It means your nervous system hasn't rehearsed that reality yet. So rehearse it kindly, not with strain, but with familiarity. See yourself moving through your day with ease. See money arriving in expected and unexpected ways. See yourself responding calmly instead of panicking. You're not forcing reality. You're training recognition. And then there's feeling. Feeling is the secret ingredient everyone wants to skip because it requires honesty. You cannot fake feeling, but you can choose it in small doses. Gratitude is the fastest way to shift frequency because it assumes the good is already active. Here's something practical I want you to do today. Just one thing. Choose one area of your life that feels heavy. Just one. And instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what assumption am I holding here? Then gently replace it. That's it. That's the work. You don't have to fix your whole life today. You just have to stop agreeing with what you no longer want. And if you're thinking, this sounds nice, but I need proof, let me tell you this. Every breakthrough you've ever had came after an inner shift. Every heartbreak came after an inner agreement with fear. The evidence is already in your history. Reality is not rigid. It's responsive. So here's your invitation. Don't try to be perfect. Try to be consistent. Don't demand instant results. Expect inevitable alignment. And if this resonates, if something in you feels strangely calm and hopeful at the same time, stay with me. Try the practice. Speak one new word. Hold one new image. Choose one elevated feeling today. And if you feel moved, let me know in the comments what assumption you're ready to release. Sometimes declaring it seals the work. Now let us go deeper, because once you understand that your frequency shapes your reality, the next question naturally arises. Why does it feel so difficult to hold a higher frequency when life keeps showing you evidence of the opposite? Why is it that you can feel inspired for 10 minutes and then one email, one bill, one memory, one comment from someone who doesn't know your vision can knock you right back into the old story? The answer is simple, and it may make you laugh once you see it. You are not battling the world. You are negotiating with habit, and habit is very persuasive. Your frequency is not a mood. It is not motivation. It is not excitement. It is a pattern of expectation built over time. And patterns do not dissolve just because you've had a spiritual epiphany on a Tuesday morning. They dissolve through repetition, through quiet authority, through choosing a higher law, even when the lower law is shouting. Most people think faith means believing something will happen. Faith is actually the calm refusal to panic when it hasn't happened yet. That refusal is power. That refusal is frequency. Now let me normalize something for you, because too many people feel ashamed of it. You can understand these ideas and still feel fear. You can practice them and still have days where doubt shows up, uninvited, like a relative who eats all your food and criticizes your furniture. Fear does not mean you are failing. Fear means you are stretching beyond your familiar identity. And the old identity always protests when it senses eviction. Here is what usually happens. Someone begins to change their inner language. They stop complaining as much. They start expecting good. They imagine a different future. And then suddenly, life seems to get louder. Old problems resurface. Delays appear. People act strangely. And the person thinks, see, this doesn't work. But what's actually happening is exposure. When you raise your frequency, anything that doesn't match it must come up to be released. Think of it like cleaning a room. The dust doesn't disappear quietly. It becomes visible first. And if you stop cleaning because you don't like seeing the dust, you stay in the same condition. This is where most people retreat. Not because they lack ability, but because they misinterpret resistance as rejection. Resistance is not the universe saying no. It is the universe rearranging. Now let's talk about the emotional body, because this is where reality is truly rewritten. Your emotions are not random. They are chemical confirmations of what you believe to be true. If you believe life is unsafe, your body prepares for defense. If you believe life supports you, your body relaxes into reception. That's why forcing positivity never works. You cannot bully your nervous system into trust, but you can educate it. You can show it consistency. You can prove to it, gently, that a new assumption is safe. One of the most powerful practices I've ever known is what I call acting under grace instead of pressure. Pressure says, this has to work or else. Grace says, this is unfolding perfectly, even if I can't see how yet. Pressure collapses frequency. Grace expands it. Ask yourself honestly, how often do you approach your goals with tension instead of trust? How often do you affirm from panic instead of peace? I must manifest this, or I'm doomed. That's not faith. That's fear wearing spiritual clothing. Now let me give you something very practical, because inspiration without application is entertainment, and you didn't come here for entertainment. Your frequency is built in the smallest moments, not the dramatic ones. It is built in how you respond to inconvenience, how you talk to yourself after a mistake, how you interpret silence, how you wait. Waiting is where most people collapse their power. They wait with anxiety. They wait with suspicion. They wait with the assumption that nothing good is happening. And all the while, the unseen is rearranging on their behalf. What if, instead, waiting became a declaration of trust? What if waiting sounded like, something is aligning for me right now, even if I can't see it yet? That single assumption changes the chemical state of your body, the tone of your thoughts, and the signal you send. Now, let's address money, because money is where frequency shows up very honestly. Money does not respond to desperation. It responds to value, expectation, and ease. People who struggle financially often believe money is hard, elusive, or morally complicated, and then they are shocked when it behaves that way. If you secretly believe money causes stress, you will repel it without trying. If you believe money supports freedom and service, you will make room for it. I'm not telling you to worship money. I'm telling you to stop arguing with it. The same applies to love. If you believe love equals pain, You will attract relationships that confirm that belief, not because you deserve it, but because your frequency recognizes it as familiar. The universe is not cruel. It is obedient. Now here's a truth that will either liberate you or irritate you, depending on how ready you are. You do not need to heal everything from your past to change your future. You do not need to analyze every wound. You do not need to relive old stories endlessly. You only need to withdraw belief from them. The past has no power, except the power you feed it in the present. And every time you retell an old story with emotion, you reactivate its frequency. You are not processing, you are rehearsing. Try this instead. When an old memory comes up, say quietly within yourself, "That belonged to an old pattern. I operate under a new law now," and then move on. Don't dramatize it. Don't argue with it. Neutralize it. Neutrality is mastery. Now, let's talk about identity, because this is the real key. Your frequency is an identity issue, not a technique issue. You don't manifest by doing more. You manifest by being different. Ask yourself this question, and don't rush the answer. Who am I being while I wait for my life to change? Am I being a victim, a struggler, a hopeful skeptic? Or am I being someone who expects cooperation from life? Expectation is silent. It does not beg. It does not chase. It assumes. People who live in high frequency are not loud about it. They are calm. They are steady. They move as if supported, and support meets them. You can practice this today in very ordinary ways. Walk slower, speak more deliberately, respond instead of reacting. These are not personality changes. These are frequency shifts. Now, humor me for a moment. Imagine that life is eavesdropping on your inner conversations, not your affirmations, but your commentary. What would it conclude about what you believe is normal for you? More struggle or more ease? More delay or more flow? Because life will agree with whatever conclusion you keep presenting. Here is another simple but radical practice. Before you sleep tonight, review your day without judgment. Notice where you reacted from fear. Notice where you chose trust. And instead of criticizing yourself, simply revise. See yourself responding calmly. See yourself confident. This is not fantasy. This is instruction. Your subconscious mind learns through images and emotion. When you revise, you are teaching it a new default. And let me say this clearly, because someone needs to hear it. You are allowed to outgrow the version of you that struggled. You are allowed to live with ease without apologizing. You are allowed to receive without explaining why you deserve it. Guilt lowers frequency faster than anything else. If something good comes into your life and your first instinct is, "This won't last," that is not intuition. That is conditioning, and it can be unlearned. So here is your immediate call to action. Not tomorrow, not someday. Choose one assumption you've been living by that no longer serves you. Just one. Maybe it's, "I have to work twice as hard." Maybe it's, "Nothing comes easily to me." Maybe it's, "I always get disappointed." Write it down, and then write a new assumption next to it. Something calm, something believable. And for the next 24 hours, every time the old one appears, gently replace it, not with force, with authority. Authority says, "That is no longer true for me." If this is resonating, if you feel something shifting, even as you listen, stay engaged, share your realization, say it out loud or write it down. Frequency strengthens through declaration. And remember this above all else, you are not here to fight life. You are here to align with it. When alignment happens, effort becomes cooperation, and cooperation becomes magic.